Are you always tired? Are you always hitting the snooze button? Or are you just not performing as best as you would like to? Don't be alarmed, you're not the only one, because up to 40% of people across the world are struggling with their sleep. The majority of adults are tired 3 out of 7 days over the week. And about 50% of people are getting 6 hours or less sleep, which, if you're not aware, 6 hours or less sleep every night is regarded as clinically sleep deprived. And I've been there myself. I spent 5 years working terrible hours in a full-time job whilst studying a master's and still maintaining a really hard level of weight training 4 or 5 days a week. But I can assure you, once you understand the science of sleep, the importance of the basics, and what sleep can do for you, you'll 100% transform your mood, energy, focus, and performance. Now, I've been looking into the science of sleep for many years now, and even me, qualified at master's level, I can sometimes still get overwhelmed with the abundance of information out there from the experts. So after extensive research that I did from podcasts, books, research papers, and the good old YouTube videos, I think I've developed a pretty good understanding of the science of sleep and what strategies will give you your best return on the time and effort you have to put into them. And as always, if you like this video, please give it a like, give it a share, and subscribe to the channel. So let's get into it. Like I said earlier, I've been spending countless hours researching sleep. And one of the reasons I pushed even more with the research behind sleep is to do with one of my clients, a young female client. She has anxiety throughout the day, and then she struggled to sleep during the night. Some may call that sleep anxiety, where she's thinking that she can't go to sleep, and then over the day, the build-up of anxiety makes it worse, and it's just a vicious cycle that she's in. And guys, if any of you do have anxiety, really important to understand that if you just have one bad night's sleep, that can increase your anxiety by up to 30%. And imagine if you're having consecutive days of that, it's a nightmare. So you have to do something about it, and you can start here with this YouTube video. So let's get started with the basics so you understand how sleep works. First up, we have sleep cycles. So when you sleep, you'll cycle through 2 different sleep phases. One, non-REM sleep, and the other is REM sleep. Now, REM is an abbreviation for rapid eye movement. Non-rapid eye movement sleep is divided into 3 stages: stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. Stage 4 is REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep. Each phase and stage includes various levels of muscle tone, brainwave patterns, and eye movements. Each cycle lasts 90 minutes, and the body cycles through all of these 4 to 6 stages each night, and each stage progresses you into a deeper sleep. Stage 1 is light sleep, and this is the stage where you are relaxing and falling asleep. This stage should take anywhere between 5 to 20 minutes, and it's the stage which is the lightest overall. Stage 2, you now move into a deeper state of light sleep. This sleep stage should contribute to a total of 50% of overall sleep time. We know that in order for you to fall asleep, your body temperature has to drop by about 1 degree Celsius, and that's what happens in this stage 2. Your body temperature drops along with heart rate. Stage 3, stage 4 are probably the most important stages for brain health. Stage 3 is your final and deepest non-REM sleep. It's called deep sleep. This stage should make up roughly 25% of your overall sleep quality. This is the stage where your body repairs and regrows tissues, builds bones, muscles, and strengthens the immune system. Interestingly, it's also the stage where you can sleepwalk, have night terrors, and even wet the bed. And lastly, stage 4 is your REM sleep, your rapid eye movement sleep. And it's called rapid eye movement sleep because that is exactly what happens. Your body is in a state of paralysis. However, your eyes are moving horizontally back and forward. And what's crazy about this stage is exactly what I said earlier. Your body is in a state of paralysis. However, the brain is highly active, and the activation pathways of the brain are very similar to if you are awake. This is probably the most important stage for your brain, as it's where memory consolidation takes place. It's really important that we go into each of these sleep stages in order to get optimal recovery and restore physical, mental, and emotional capacity. Failure to do so can really impact your health, well-being, and performance. And that's short-term and long-term. For example, Alzheimer's disease, only 3% of Alzheimer's patients are genetically predisposed to it. So the other 95 to 97% is all lifestyle related, and the number 1 risk factor for that is sleep quantity and sleep quality. And unfortunately, no, you cannot get back a sleep debt. So if you are a shift worker, if you have poor sleep and you try to sleep those hours back on the weekend, unfortunately, that doesn't work. So what controls your sleep cycles? Well, it's all regulated by the circadian rhythm. In our eyes, there are a bunch of cells that have light receptors. They pick up on light exposure to release hormones that help you sleep and wake up. Circadian rhythm is our natural sleep rhythm. It's an internal process that regulates the sleep-wake cycle along with other physiological and behavioral processes. Generally, these are 24-hour cycles that are influenced by day and night. So simply put, when the sun goes down, we get tired because our melatonin increases, a hormone secreted in the brain. And when the sun comes up, we wake up because of a decrease in melatonin and an increase in hormones such as cortisol. That's what wakes us up and gets us ready for the day. So that's the basic cycle. And of course, disruptions can happen with those who do shift work, have jet lag, irregular sleep patterns, and habits, all of which can have really, really negative effects on health and performance. For example, 97% of shift workers struggle to adapt to the demands of shift work. So a disruption to our natural circadian rhythm will no doubt increase stress hormones, increase risk of disease and illness, and an increase in all cardiovascular risk factors. Now, for me personally, if I had to rate my sleep, I would give it a 5 out of 5. I don't have problems falling asleep and I don't have problems staying asleep. However, I realized that I don't dream much. I wanted to see if I could unlock another level of sleep to see if my sleep could improve. So I made a few tweaks to my bedtime routine, my caffeine exposure, and breathing techniques. So let's talk about those 3 things that I changed. The first one was caffeine. You're never going to truly understand your relationship with caffeine until you come off it. Caffeine is a psychoactive substance. It's a central nervous system stimulator. And it does that by blocking a neurotransmitter called adenosine. Now, adenosine in the brain works by building up throughout the day so that by the end of the day, you're tired and you're ready to sleep. The caffeine works by blocking those adenine receptors. By doing so, that creates wakefulness, alertness, and increased cognitive function. Caffeine doesn't exactly wake us up and give us energy. It merely masks the effects of the adenosine in the brain. So why did cutting caffeine help my sleep? Well, just for some context, I was having about 1 to 3 coffees a day, which I don't think is much at all. And I've never had problems with falling asleep or staying asleep. But I love seeing how far I can push my health, my performance, and see if I can optimize it to another level. So I thought I'd cut it and see what happens. Caffeine has what's called a half-life. So it can take 6 hours to eliminate half of that caffeine in your body. So if I'm having caffeine, a coffee, say 11, 12 o'clock at night, by 6 p.m., half of that caffeine is still in my system. So by 9, 10 p.m. at night, I've still got caffeine in my system. Regardless of whether myself or you can still fall asleep, it will still have an effect on your sleep. And what's mad is that ever since I have given up caffeine in the last 3 to 4 weeks, my sleep has been crazy. I've been dreaming every single night, which we know, remember, stage 4 REM sleep is where dreaming occurs. So maybe I'm getting into a deeper rapid eye movement sleep stage. So some takeaways: limit your caffeine exposure or do what I did, just give it up totally. If you are going to have it, establish a cutoff time. Now, I would highly recommend no caffeine after 11 or 12 o'clock. And like I said earlier, guys, you don't know your relationship with caffeine until you try to come off it. So try to do what I did. Cut it out for 30 days and see how you go. Monitor your sensitivity and pay attention to how it makes you feel. So let's move on. That second thing that really helped me sleep more was getting 7.5 to 8 hours sleep every night, along with a consistent bedtime and waking time. So generally I go to bed about 9:30 p.m. and I wake up about 5 a.m. And that's about 7.5 hours on average. And based on the 90-minute sleep cycles, that's 5 cycles. So I would highly recommend you guys try and wake up as close to a 90-minute sleep cycle as possible. On the weekend, without an alarm, my body still tends to wake up at 5 a.m. I'll then set my alarm for 90 minutes later to wake up at 6:30 a.m. And I still wake up feeling great, energized, and ready for the day. So this is also where snoozing comes in. Whether you're snoozing 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, snoozing is not great. And that's because when you snooze, your brain has now began a new sleep cycle. And if you do snooze and have to wake up during one of those sleep stages, trust me, you're gonna feel way more tired, way more groggy, and less productive. You have to think about what I said earlier. When you go through that stage 4 rapid eye movement sleep, for you to wake up, your body temperature has to raise by 1 degree, along with dopamine, cortisol, and other hormones. Snoozing can impair all this by starting a new sleep cycle. So just don't snooze. I've spent my whole life snoozing, 2 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour, and since not doing that, I'm waking up energized more than ever before. Next up is night routine. Now, like I said earlier, I've never been one to struggle to fall asleep or stay asleep. But one thing I've always struggled with is my productivity in the morning and throughout the day. I've always been someone who is somewhat of a procrastinator. I've always delayed things, done them later. The one thing that's really helped that focus, that productivity, is journaling. It's really helped me level up my overall sleep performance and overall energy and focus. Now, when it comes to journaling, it does depend on the questions you ask yourself. Now, personally, I'm not into writing my own thoughts down and all of that sort of malarkey. But what I do is ask questions that help prompt 3 things before bed. Number 1, a winning mentality. Number 2, self-reflection. And number 3, problem solving. Overall, this structured style of journaling helps provide me with a way to process my thoughts and emotions, set intentions, and establish a routine of self-care. Now, it's not for everyone, but you should try it. Just make sure you're consistent, you're honest, and you experiment with your questions. And the last thing that helped me improve my sleep was my breathing technique. I'm currently using nasal only breathing by mouth taping every single night, and it's still something I'm currently reviewing. I'll be uploading a video on that soon, whether it's been effective or not, but so far so good. Now, there are a ton of benefits on nasal only breathing, and if you're not aware of what they are, I made a video that you can check out up here. By breathing with your nose, you can deliver 20% more oxygen to the body and the brain because of the paranasal sinuses and how they release nitric oxide to help deliver that oxygen into the body. It is very beneficial for you to breathe through your nose, and it's definitely something that you should try. Next up, let's talk about diet. Now, research suggests low fiber diets can impair your non-REM sleep quality, which, remember guys, can make up 75% of your overall sleep time. Now, there probably isn't the best diet out there to help you sleep, but we all know the importance of high quality nutrient dense foods and how good they are for you. So stay away from poor quality food choices. And whilst we're on the topic of food and diet, have you ever heard of that saying, I've got a gut feeling about this? Well, that's not intuition, that's actually true. Our gut is our second brain, and some people even believe it's our first. Hear me out. We have something called the gut-brain axis, which is a communication network. This gut-brain axis involves the immune system, the endocrine system, and other brain and body systems. In fact, the gut has a massive influence on the brain's neurotransmitters and influences their production and function. Serotonin plays a role in the brain by regulating mood and can control depression and anxiety. And 90 to 95% of the body's serotonin is actually produced in the gut. So the gut's microbiome can influence the production of serotonin. GABA is the primary inhibitory neurotransmitter in the CNS, the central nervous system. It's what helps get you tired, fall asleep, and stay asleep. The gut microbiome influences GABA production and signaling in the brain. Actually, it's probably the #1 supplement I recommend to clients who struggle to fall asleep and stay asleep. Dopamine. Dopamine is referred to the feel-good neurotransmitter because of its role in pleasure and reward. The majority of this dopamine is produced in the brain. However, some receptors are present in the gut, meaning it can influence overall dopamine produced. It's also worth pointing out the effects of alcohol on your sleep. The ethanol in alcohol is a sedative, which means while it may knock you out to sleep, it's kind of tricking your brain and impacting your REM sleep by keeping you in non-REM sleep, which are your lighter stages of sleep. So try your best to limit or cut out alcohol as best you can. Next up, let's talk about exercise and training. Studies clearly show that an increase in your exercise will increase total sleep time, increase non-REM sleep, and overall quality of sleep. It will also decrease your time to fall asleep, along with fewer waking times. So it makes sense. Create an exercise routine, a training routine. Walk more, take the stairs more, be more active. Movement is medicine. Now, what's cool about more sleep is that you can also increase your exercise capacity, meaning you can tolerate more work, more load, more training volume. And if you're training for a high rocks or a marathon or a competition, hell, even fat loss or building muscle, the more work that you can do and recover from, the better. And you know what's incredible about exercise and movement is that walking 30 minutes every day can reduce mild cognitive impairment by up to 26%, which is huge for anyone who's aging, anyone who does shift work, or generally has trouble remembering things. Overall, lots of information there for you, and hopefully lots of implementation for you to try. And if you like this video, give it a like, give it a share, and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with more videos coming your way.